Welcome in. We are live. Mikey Wine here, aka Gundamonium Works. Happy Hump Day on this January 25th. Almost halfway through, over halfway through January already. And because the Deep Space Research Colonizer, I should call it, from Iwata, is in the prime and paint process, I have decided to continue working on the cleanup work for this 172 scale Macross vinyl kit. So I've started cutting some of the trimming the pieces down, fitting them, and I'd forgotten how much work there is prior to actually being able to glue any of this stuff back together. Let's go. Let's go. Dio says, let's go. We're going. So some of these I have trimmed already. Some I still have to do. I have quite a bit to do. The trickiest part that I am getting to is the chest piece, which is going to require a lot of gap filling because there's so many pieces that have to go together with this. And I kind of diffused my lighting a little bit, so it looks like you can see a little bit better. This stuff is it's actually kind of a yellowish color. It's not quite pure white, but on camera, it looks like super bright white. So I put some tissue paper over my, like wrapping tissue type stuff, over my overhead lights to kind of diffuse the light a little bit. So it's a little bit easier to see this now. I'll go into why this is going to be such a pain in the butt. And I don't remember when I built this guy, I remember the torso being a challenge, but this one looks like it fit so much better. I'm trying to figure out why this one seems to be a lot worse. And I don't know yet. He's basically got the front chest piece and then the back piece, and they're joined by two of these they're like joiner, almost like top of the shoulder type pieces. They'll go in here like so. Okay. So that will sit there like that. I've got the head here trimmed down fits onto the neck. I'll take that off because this piece actually has to be inserted. Let me get my glasses on. I wonder why I can't see. There we go. So this kind of goes in and fits right in the center of the chest. It's got the neck portion and everything like that. So that is not too bad. This kind of fits nicely. But the problem I have is this then has to come up, and I'm going to try to hold this together without anything falling apart. So this has to kind of sit like that. Okay, so you got these. See, it's going to fall apart on me. Let me reset this without gluing anything together. It's kind of a challenge. They were fitting kind of snugly, but okay. So again, this kind of goes in this fashion. Yeah, this is just not cooperating right now. Anyway, there's quite a bit of a gap on each side of the shoulder by where the arm attaches. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do there. I think I may just either have to putty it or build up the CA glue and kind of use that as a filler. Are you going to... Okay, Mike Dio's got a question. I just looked up. Sorry, guys, I was looking down. Are you going to get the HG Bandai Macross kit when it comes out? I don't know. It's a small scale. I'm kind of spoiled by 148 scale. I mean, this is only 172, but it's kind of a unique kit because it's a static pose vinyl kit. And I built this one years ago, and now I'm going to redo it in a different color scheme, but it's starting to bring back a lot of memories as far as how kind of a pain in the butt vinyl is to use. I'm still going to try to put this together for everyone to see it here. I can kind of just get it to stay. Okay, it looks like I can get it. Okay, so with this together, that's kind of what. Now you look at each side. There's a huge gap there. Now either I can try to heat this up and push these corners in, or I can try to fill it. And I don't think heating it is an option, only because there's just too much of a gap there. So that's one challenge. That's probably the hardest thing. I mean, there's going to be some other little gaps. Hey, what's up, John? There's going to be some other gaps here and there that I can fill with the CA glue and then sand them down. If you want, I'll get it for you. Well, you mean get it and build it for me, or get it and send it to me? What do you mean? Just curious, because that Iwata colonizer was sent to me by a friend, so fill it in. Oh, you talking about this kit? I mean, I'm not sure you're talking about the Bandai kit or this kit. No, I can manage. I just need to do quite a bit of work to the torso here, but I've been working on cutting a lot of these pieces out and getting them at least trimmed down and roughly fit. Because then you've got the lower torso section here. I cut this. I'll cut all the excess off of that, so that's going to fit right in here like that. Kind of has an interesting. Send it to me. Oh, well. Well, I'm not going to say no. Definitely not going to say no. I actually have a Bandai. Which one do I have? I have one of their newer variable kits, but it's the VF1, not the YF19. I think is what we're talking about, right? Or something similar to that. I'm talking about filling in the gaps, and I'll buy the Macross. Well, that would be quite awesome. Like I said, I'm not going to say no, but gosh, that's very gracious of you. I have a modern Bandai kit that I can show you, and it's a variable VF1 at I think it's 172. Yeah, 172 scale. And I also bought the weapon set for it and the extra armor set to make it into a Super Valkyrie. But that's still in the stash, and I haven't tried that because years ago I built the some of the original Macross variable kits, and they were kind of wonky and the proportions weren't right. I'm curious to see how this one comes out, but again, it's one of the only, other than Hasegawa, it's one of the only Bandai kits that I hung on to that wasn't 148 scale because I just wanted to eventually build it. Getting back to this guy, you can see like this is the wing section that's kind of folded up behind the back. And you have two separate pieces. I had to trim all this extra off. This kind of fits in like this. There's going to be some gaps to fill there too, and then kind of like right down the center, you can see between these two pieces that's what I've got to fill. It's kind of hidden back there. It's not too bad, but I am going to still try to fill it in and sand and shape it. Of course, once I prime it, I'll be able to see even better how the gaps are. I got one of the legs done since I almost finished this last stream. This is the left leg. You got the knee portion here. The foot fits in there nicely at an angle. And then at the top, here's the top of the leg. That goes on like so. So they all fit together quite nicely. The molds are at least pretty good. There's not too much deformation in them. There is, I mean, this is, like I said, the chest piece is probably the hardest because it's just so, again, the way they make soft vinyl, and I'm only assuming this, I can't tell you for sure because I've not witnessed it, but they basically have a mold almost similar to a resin mold, but then they pour in vinyl around the outer edges of it, so that the kit itself is hollow. So you get all the nice details on the outside, and similar to resin, way resin would be molded, but it's just a hollow kit, and it can get deformed kind of easily. Most of the pieces seem pretty good so far. It's just this one is going to be interesting. Do you peg the pieces together or use magnets or both? Good question. Let me read some of these. Do you okay, let me bring this up on screen. The last time when I built this one, all I did was glue them together. I don't know if pinning them really matters. I didn't know about pinning stuff when I built this one last time, so I basically held it together with my fingers and just used super glue, I think, to kind of glue everything together. What's up? Oh, George. What's up, George? How you doing, buddy? Good to have you on again. Welcome in. So getting back, I don't know if pinning them really matters. This seems to be holding together pretty good just by super glue. I think that's what I used. I'm pretty sure that's all I knew about. I mean, this was years ago when I built this. Honestly, I didn't know anything about vinyl or anything about resin or pinning or anything. So I may go ahead and do the same thing with this and just glue it together, because there are some nice, at least they have some keyed areas there that fit together pretty good and solid. As long as you got some good glue, you should be fine. Good to be here, brother. Yeah, you bet, man. We're having some fun with vinyl. And I laughed last week when somebody said that vinyl is, I don't know if they said it was a French word for severing your fingertip or something like that, which I thought was kind of hilarious. So, and then on top of this, when you get these pieces together, they get the wings here that go on. Then you've also got the backpack portion, which has to fit here, and then there's the top section of that, which has the folded tail section. Kinky. So I still have to trim that. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just trimming some of these pieces in, and it's actually kind of a tedious process because you got to be careful. The vinyl cuts pretty easily. In some cases it doesn't. In some thick, portions are thicker and it won't cut as easily. And then other times I was putting pressure on the blade and it just went right through and almost cut too far. I have pin pricked 2 fingers. So yes, I have bled a little bit since I've been trimming this stuff down. Not on camera, and hopefully I won't do that tonight, but it was just the other day. Yesterday, I think, or the day before. One of those two. Question: what are the pros and cons of vinyl compared to resin? Ooh. Well, someone would say, and Manny's got a good question. Some people would say that if you really want to punish yourself, like if you're feeling low self-esteem and you feel like you just want to kick yourself in the nuts, build a vinyl kit. Resin is probably easier to deal with, even though there's quite a bit of cleanup, and I think there's still some, maybe, I don't know if you have to clean this stuff like you do resin. You might have to. There might be some mold release, just like resin, so it might be a good idea to scrub these parts down too and let them dry. But I think resin, because it's a solid piece and it's a harder material, it dries a lot harder. It's probably easier to manage. You're laughing because it's true. So vinyl is a little bit, it can get deformed easy, and you'll see like this. If you look at the edge of this is the wing section. You see that bend? I've been trying to work out that bend for a couple of days. I've even heated it up with my heat gun and reshaped it, but it just keeps going back. So that's something you have to think about. Resin can do that, but it's easy to reshape it just by heating it up, and you can kind of tweak a little bit. This stuff seems to it does what you want it to for a second, but then it ends up going right back eventually. So, yeah. anyhow, I've got several pieces already trimmed, and I'm going to keep working on. I think I'm going to finish this backpack because there's two halves to it. This is the lower half that has like the three thrusters back there in the back, and then I've got the folded wing portion here. But I've got to trim all this off, and then that's supposed to fit on top of this. So I guess that's where we're going to start. And hopefully I don't bleed again. Got a little beer to sustain me if I get a little parched. I'm just using these big clippers to kind of, same way you do with resin. I explained this last time. Just chunking off some of these larger portions, and then I can use the razor to get down and by the way, definitely you want a very, very sharp blade, because I mean it's a double-edged sword though, because it's going to cut nice and straight, but it's also going to cut very easily. So you have to be careful. This stuff is temperamental, and you got to be very careful when you're doing your trimming work. I've been trying different techniques. I've been trying to cut, like with these clippers, I've been trying to cut as close as I can to the visible line that I think is where the part's supposed to be. But then if I don't get too close, it's hard to trim the excess off and get a nice straight clean line. So I'm trying to do both. I'm trying to get as close as I can with these, because these will cut a nice straight edge as long as I know that that's the line where I want to cut it. You know what I mean? So just going to keep going here. Oh, Manny's asking what George is building. Well, I've been watching his live streams, actually kind of using it as a podcast in the mornings when I can't see him live. He's building a Chinese tank, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, Mike, when panel lining, can you clean up the excess the next day? Yes. It might take a little bit more of a soak time. Here, I'm going to put that on the screen. John's got a question here. Fozzie Bear says, when panel lining, can you clean up the next day? I'm assuming you mean you put like Tamiya panel lining on. You've already gloss coated your kit, and then you're panel lining it. You let it sit overnight. It will come off the next day. It just takes a little bit longer soak time with the enamel thinner. As long as you haven't sealed it with another clear coat, you're fine. But like I said, the longer it sits there, it's a little bit harder to get off, but it will come off. At least that's been my experience. Because there's been times where I had intended to clean up a piece the night before or something, and then all of a sudden the next day I realized, oh shit, I forgot to clean this up. But it does come off. The Mr. Color panel lining comes off a lot easier. The Tamiya stuff will take a little bit more effort to get off if you leave it overnight, but it will come off. Not a problem. Yeah, George is building a 172 Chinese tank. Yes, I was correct. It's a Chinese tank. All right, so let me cut some of this more. I'm trying to get, there is a line here. It kind of looks like a panel line, but that's where the actual piece is supposed to end. It's a little tricky, but gosh, it's like, how do you tackle this? I want to get as close as I can, but I also don't want to make it harder when I go to clean it up with the razor. I'm finally working on my George whip. I'll send you pictures. Your Jorge, your Georgie whip, your Jorge whip. How you say it? I don't know. George whip. What's your George whip, Manny? If you don't mind me asking, I bet I know what it is. Maybe I just don't quite picture it right now. have had some of these pieces fly off and hit me in the face too. There we go. It's kind of hard. I just kind of barely get as close as I can and just, like I said, kind of like when you're cutting resin chunks off, you just want to get the right angle. See, this is like, this fin comes down right where it needs to be trimmed. I think if I hit it right there, good. Yeah. Okay, there. Let's see. There. That worked out nice. Now I can go straight across this line. Okay, good. May not mean much to trim. A little bit, but not much. This is going to fit. Well, it's supposed to fit. But see, here's what we're running into. Can you see this here? See this big divot? That should be more of a straight across to fit over this cap, and it's not because it's just warped. So, or maybe it's, oh, you know what? It's not. It's supposed to fit right on top. I thought this was a recessed, kind of like a, I thought this ridge was here for this to sit over it, but I think it goes right on top. Let me look at this guy. Yeah, there's going to be some separation there. It's nice having this extra kit laying around that I can compare, but get rid of some of this excess. So yeah, this has got to sit right on top. I'm going to have to trim just a bit, but the fit is pretty good so far. And then when those two are glued together, look at the back here. This will sit right here like that. See that? Obviously there's a gap there because I'm not quite there. I got a little bit of trimming to do. Just blowing up my phone. Advisors meeting. One of my friends at work I was trying to get to come watch tonight since she has an advisors meeting. I'm like, oh well, I guess you're not going to make it. So I'm just going to trim off a tiny bit more in this corner. So this will sit flat. You sent us pictures. What did you send us? Oh, the George whip. Did you send us pictures? Where'd you send them to, Manny? Instagram? That's Twitch. Well, you can't send them there. So, ooh, I like that. Oh wow, is that the artwork for the Scout pod from Hasagawa? I can't wait to see that. I know I'm waiting for it to come out. I've already pre-ordered one. Oh, there we go. Oh yeah. Oh, that's nice. Good job, Manny. That looks awesome. I'm going to look at those later when I have more time, but from what I saw, it looks pretty damn cool. Yeah, I figured it out. I just realized it was in messages. I thought you were sending it via like a Facebook messenger, not actual Instagram. But I got it. So just trimming off the excess now. This is after I clipped all the larger bits off. Now I've got to try to get a nice clean edge here. So this will sit nice and flat. But because I know I've got CA glue too, and especially this, the gap filling Bob Smith stuff, I can use it to fill gaps too. You know, it's not a huge concern if there's a tiny bit of a gap. Back when I assembled this thing the first time, I didn't know all that, you know. I just struggled through it. But it is true. I mean, vinyl is a challenge. It's not for everybody. I was watching another guy I know. He was building that Optimus Prime kit. And I also have that. And I'm thinking, man, I really want to start that. So we'll see how far I get with this. Once I finish the colonizer, I may get right on the Prime kit. We'll see. Or we'll finish this too. This was something to do because I had that other thing in paint process. And I couldn't really do much on camera. So I decided to start this. So what is up? Force Ghost. I think you're Mike, right? Another Mike? Yeah. Hey, Meg's here. Oh my God, what Gundam is this? Shut up, Meg. And don't call it Robotech or I'll ban you from the stream. Because you know you want to. At least that's what you know who I'm talking about. So let's see what to do next. I think I'll start the right leg. So I got this, and the foot. I'll keep all the arm pieces together. These are for the leg fins. So let's trim this off. This is Harmony Gold Country. Yeah, right, Freddie. Harmony Gold screwed it up for everybody. But we didn't know that in the 80s. We just thought, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. And then when we got older and wiser and realized that Harmony Gold was screwing up for everybody in the States as far as Macross is concerned. Fred, it's good to have both of you here. I'm surprised you're not doing your own live stream tonight, Meg. Megan Vanderlei. You got to go check her out on Twitch. She just finished, well, at least I think she just finished. Really cool. Ground control to Major Tomcat build. Even though I'm not a huge cat fan, but the build was quite nice. I have to say, it was pretty cool. So now I'm just trimming off, getting rid of some of this material in the leg here. The bottom needs no work at all. It's just the top. This is where the foot sits, so not going to be any trimming there. That was all part of the mold. It's just this excess stuff. It's kind of a pain. This was actually a challenge because the knee portion has to fit in there. And so you've really got to just carefully trim it away until you get rid of just enough material for that to sit in there nice and even. And hopefully you don't come out bleeding in the process. Cats are the best. Now, we've already had a discussion on cats, and I'm not going to do that on my stream. But I don't dislike cats. I just won't own one. Okay? I just think cats are too independent for my taste. I think they're just using you for food. I mean, that's what I think. Defiant little shits, you know. They'll sit there and look at you dead in the eye and you're like, don't do it. And they'll look at you with their paw on something like they're going to push it off a shelf, and you'll just say, don't do it. And they'll look straight at you and push it off. Just not going to happen. Oh, but what? Well, yeah, of course I did, because it was yours. I don't want to do it on mine. Because I already told you what cats are good for, and you disagreed. Cats are good for feeding large dogs. Maybe you didn't get the engine coolant thing, but that was funny too. Digging that shit. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed your quote. Your quote. Digging that shit for. Are you talking about this kid I'm working on right now? Forest Ghost. Sorry, I need to look up more often. I'm trimming stuff away and trying not to cut myself at the same time. And I often miss some of the comments because you guys are blowing it up tonight, which is fine. Make sure I didn't miss anything here. Yeah, I know she has decals. We were talking about that. We found a couple decals to do, but at least you can clear coat it and then do it right without messing it up. Oh, the shirt. I'm sorry. I thought you said shit. What did I say? Oh, you said shirt. I can't read. Fucking A. Yeah, I got this at Macross World Con the year that I moved up here in 2016. It's one of the last things I was able to do. It was actually the day before I was moving. The last fun event down in Cali before I hit the road. And I saw this shirt, and it was funny too because I had brought my Valkyrie build to that event and put it on display there. Ended up winning their customs contest. But I got to tell you, I mean, it was the same launch arm. That's why I had to buy it too. When I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the kit I just built. You know, the launch arm and everything. So it's one of my favorites, and I figured it was kind of appropriate to wear tonight since I'm kind of working on a Valkyrie. Well, I won't expect my cat charity stream in April. No, you're right. You're right, Meg. You can guarantee that I will not be at your charity cat stream. No. Hey, man, it's your thing. You want to do it? Go for it. It's not my thing. Gosh, this is getting scary because I'm trying to trim this off, and I'm really trying not to take too much material off. That's the balance here when you're dealing with this stuff, because the molds are kind of good. I'm not familiar with other vinyl kits that are out there. This is the only one I've ever built, and you got to carefully trim away, but it's easy to get carried away and take out too much material. So you got to really take your time and go around these corners nice and slow. Otherwise, you'll just end up filling it, I guess, which isn't a bad thing. It just takes more time. And these molds are decent enough where you can see a faint line where the piece is supposed to end. So it's not cutting blindly, but it's still very nerve-wracking at times when you're getting into these tight spaces. So, okay, now that I got a good majority of that material out, the next step is to get this. This is supposed to fit in here. I can tell already it's way too tight because I still got to take off more on the inside here, like I did with this one. This was the first leg I did. You can see this one fits in there nicely, and it'll actually stay in place. I mean, when I glue it, I'll put some pressure on it to kind of hold it together, but it fits really nicely, right? It doesn't fall out. This one, when I pop these two together, it's forcing it out, because there's too much material here, so I have to force it in and press it in, and it's just pushing back, and that just tells me I've got to take off more, and I can still see that faint line here. So I'm going to go down just ever so slightly here on the edge. Take a little more off. I'm still going to fill these legs too, I think, with some added weight. I'm going to use some gasket material that's like a liquid form that I can squeeze in there. That will settle in the bottom and then cure without damaging the vinyl at all. It'll just go into the bottom, but then that way these legs will be heavier and kind of give it a little bit more of a base. This guy's still a little bit wobbly. He stands okay, but he's kind of back heavy. You can kind of see how it wants to fall back if I just tap it. So I think if I have a little bit of weight, a little more weight in the legs, it'll kind of keep it more steady. So that's what we're gonna do. You and George have all the cool shit. Well, I don't know about that. We're just old and we've been around longer. More opportunity to get the cool shit. And you know what? Eventually, the cool shit's going to go to somebody else because I can't take it with me. You know what I mean? Hopefully it's still in good shape then. A lot of my older kits have quite a bit of hanger rash. They've been around a while, but I got a lot to take to shows this year. I can't wait for April. April's going to be fun because it's our IPMS show that we've missed for the last 3 years. Right, last April they were just starting to open everything up, and we thought maybe we'll get a show, and they canceled it at the last minute. So it was unfortunate, but this year they've got to have one. I don't see why they wouldn't. And boy, I've got a lot to bring. I've got my Star Wars Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 8. I've got that. The Scout Trooper Grogu diorama. That's the one I got to bring. And then I've got the 120 Gerwalk Valkyrie that I got to bring. It's still a little too much material here. So yeah, I got that. And let's see what else I got. The Hainu. The Gundam Hainu Verka heavy weapons, I got that. And then I've got the F-14 I can bring. Yeah, so I'm going to have about 5 or 6 to put on display there. Yeah, no, Forrest is old too. Mike, oh, he is. I'm sorry, I don't know. I've never met the man. I've never seen him on camera. I've seen you on camera plenty of times, so I know when I say that with all, with the utmost respect. But yeah, I don't know. Never met the man. Yet not as much. Shit. Oh well. It's all right. Let's do what George does. You go to a store and you know you don't need it, but you end up coming away with something. Typically, I go to the store and I go in with the intention of buying tools or something. If I see something I like, a kit I like, then maybe I'll buy something. But did that one really do the same thing? No, it fit quite nicely there. Huh. This one's giving me a little grief. A little bit of gap. Not too bad. I'll take off a little more hair in the front. Gosh, it's so hard. I just want to shave off a tiny bit, so it's really got to be slow and steady. There we go. I'm on a cool shit sabbatical this year. Why? What does that mean? Aha, there we go. Man, just that little bit of extra trimming. I just brought that right in. I think I got a little more on this corner. Yeah, I haven't done a lot of online purchases either this year, or in store for that matter. I mean, I can't say this year. When I mean last year, of course, because we just started this year. But I just have so much in my backlog already, and I really did a decent job of buying a lot of supplies ahead of time, like leveling thinner and paint. I still occasionally need to buy some paint. Every once in a while I'll run through it, especially if I'm doing a certain kit that needs a lot of a certain color. There we go. That's getting there. Yeah, if I have a kit that I use a lot of one color on, that tends to, and then I'm calling, then I'm getting on with the spray gunner or something and buying 3 or 4 bottles of paint if I can get my hands on it. This stuff does sand, by the way. It's not very easy, though. But it does, I can do some minor sanding to it if I need to, even though it's really not easy to do because it just doesn't, the material doesn't go away. It just kind of sits there. But what I want to do is kind of round this corner off, so it kind of acts like a gooey type of resin, like a really soft resin. So I can take some edges off and just, I'm using 400 grit paper here, but so yeah, that's gonna sit. Well, see, I had it in there. That's because I'm trying to put it in backwards, dummy. There. Yeah, that looks good. There's a couple little gaps, but nothing I can't seal with some glue. That fits nicely. So there's that. This is the right leg, and that's just the knee portion. Or I trimmed this. I still have to do quite a bit of trimming here because there's like a knee support that I've got to cut that out because that doesn't belong there. This little ridge on the inside of the knee I've got to get rid of, and then a little bit more up here as well for the top piece right here. This will eventually plop down right on that. So we'll keep working. Yeah, this one's got a big chunk of support here. And it's just like it comes off the top of the kneecap. There's like it'd be similar to the way they use a support in a resin kit or something where it's just extra material that's there to complete the mold, but you have to get rid of it. You have to cut it out before you glue it together because these pieces won't fit properly with that in there. I lost already then if you're bringing... No, you haven't lost already, John. See, John's afraid of bringing stuff to his first ever event. Believe me, I'm not going to be the only one there emptying out their cabinets of everything they finished in the last year or 3 years. Everybody up here has been building and then not doing anything with their their kits, unless you're going out of state, like I went to California. But I entered my the Hainu there at SCGMC. I entered that in the experts category, so I had to go up against the best of the best there, and I came out not winning anything there because it's a winner take all category. There's no second or third place. So I'm just trimming off this extra support on the knee here. And very carefully go down and come in. There we go. Perfect. Not going to take much more. I'm just trimming out that extra piece. Oh, I've got to do the knee still. That was at the top. I just realized there's one more on the knee itself. What will most likely happen, John, is there will be so much on the tables that they will have to split the category. They do that very often. But some of the guys that have been around a while will tell you it's not about winning. Don't get me wrong, I like to compete, but it's about taking the risk, putting yourself on display, and I just fucked that all up. And I can fix it though. So I was cutting this one direction, but then I realized I cut into the leg on the other side. Get your feedback on your. Did you get your feedback on your build SCGMC? No, I didn't need it because I used to be a member of those Gundam guys. I used to help put on that show, and here, I'm going to put that on screen so people can see it. So I know, what. I guess I could have. I just didn't. It wasn't necessary for me to hear the feedback, because this was probably the first year that I wasn't a judge there, because I just refused to judge for him. I just told him, look, man, I'm going to be a customer this year. And I knew once I showed up, that's why I didn't tell anybody I was going. Very few people knew that I was going to show up in California until I got there. There was only a couple of close friends that knew that I was actually showing up. And that was the reason, because I didn't want to get roped into judging. See, yeah, this is what it is, John. This is what you want to do right here. You show up and just be proud of what you do, and look at what's on. Learn from what's on the tables. Talk to other builders. See what they're doing. I mean, we're close here in Washington. He talks to me quite often about his builds and stuff. He's come a long way in a very, very short period of time, and you got to be proud of that. This year is going to be kind of unique because, again, we've all been sitting here locked in our houses for 3 years. We haven't been able to display, to show anything at any real shows here in Washington. So when we do finally get there, there's going to be a lot of people there. So you have to kind of go in with the expectation of, if you don't expect to win and you do, that's even better than going, am I saying that right? It's just like, I think if you go in with the just wanting to enjoy enjoy the experience and just ask questions to other builders, when you see their stuff, say, hey, how'd you do this? Find out. Gosh, this is such a compound corner here, and it's giving me grief. I'm trying to take this material out, but I'm cutting too deep in the wrong direction, and it's making me nervous. And it's right in the front of the knee, so it's not like I can hide it. Yeah, I heard about that. George just got roped into judging it at your IPMS show. Yeah, I will most likely be judging too. I imagine they were going to ask me to judge there. I don't mind doing that. And so if I do, then of course I can't judge any categories that I am in. So that's something to think about, John. If I'm judging, then I can't really be a judge for 1/100 Gundam category, or 1/100, which is I think what you're entering, right? So if I'm judging that category, well, then I have to withdraw from entering it. I must have done the same thing last time. I'm having to trim a little extra off the knee here to get this to fit, to look right. There we go. It's almost perfect. That was a tough one. It was just that mold that they used to, like a support. It was just at a weird angle with the way this knee joint comes together. So I actually had to take off quite a bit of extra material to compensate for it. I'm not sure it looks quite right. But that is the nature of vinyl. There we go. Gosh, I'm just trying to get this last piece to come out. There. Almost. You'll do just fine, John. Seriously. I've seen what you can do. I don't think you got to worry about a thing. It's when you go to like a competition like GVWC, and then you put your best thing on the table, and you're like, yeah, this is gonna get it. And then you see what wins, and you're like, what the? I made third place in 2015. I almost got to Japan that year, but I was beat out. That was back when Canada didn't have its own entry. It was all considered just North America. I'm gonna go right there. Oh boy. So Canada and the US were lumped in together. And I got second place. Well, I got third place to a guy in Canada. And then the guy that won the US qualifier shouldn't even have been allowed to take what he did to Japan. He should have got DQ'd in Japan because he showed up with a base that wasn't part of his original entry. And that just shows you that, you know, I don't know. GBWC is not getting my business anymore. I'm done. I am still trying to clean up this edge. This is just not cooperating. If I can just, it's almost going through. There. Man. See, it's like when I take off a little bit there, then I got to take it off around the corner, and I'm just like slowly trimming this off, and it's just getting worse and worse. I've got to figure out when to stop. I think I'm going to leave it there. That's about as good as it's going to get. All right, so we are almost 7 o'clock Pacific time. How's everybody doing? I'm just going to try to soften these edges up a little bit from the razor cutting. I don't know if you can hear that. That was my wife laughing in the background. She's watching TV downstairs. There, that's not too bad. It's not as good as I would have liked it, but I think it'll be fine. I can use a little bit of CA to kind of fill in the top and then sand it down and dress it up a little bit. So this will go in the leg like this. There. So I just got to do the foot and the top portion. Like the way this just kind of sits on there. These fit really good. One of the questions Forest Ghost was asking earlier was whether we pin these or not. They have these little divot like where you would put a pin, but they fit so good in the socket. It's just like it's almost worth just gluing it in place. And it's such a lightweight kit anyway. It's not like resin where you've just got all this weight, you know, on all the joints. This is really, really lightweight compared to resin. So I'm just kind of I'm trimming away the top portion of the leg here. Get some of the bigger material, and I can dress it up. Because this is careful. Almost got too close there. Okay. I need lunch, everybody. Ooh. Oh, yeah. That helps out, especially when you're doing a lot of talking. You need a little bit, feeling a little parched. See, even though I'm cutting out this piece of the side of the leg here, there's still a thickness to it because I actually still have to trim off the inside of that too, because as this material comes off, there's still unwanted thickness where they poured that stuff into the mold. So that all has to come out. So I may, since this I cut, yeah, I cut this right to there. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of take that piece off there. Same with this side. There we go. I can take this. That out of the way. And then you see it's starting to take shape. So I'm going to go down this line here. Basically, I'm just using the sharpness of the blade. I'm just pushing down and letting it cut through. Trying to do straight lines it's really the only way to do it. Since I got this straight line, I mean, unless I cut these, because this is like a nice straight line here, I can just clip this nearly perfectly off. I got one little bit here. If I can get my cutters in there, there we go. You know what? I'm just going to take off extra. All right. Yeah, see, now I can just, bam. So that's the rough cut of it. And that will fit right on here. But like I said, I've got some of that extra material I got to take off around the edge, and then behind this piece I got to slim that down so it fits into that leg piece nice and clean. Get rid of these big chunks. There is a visible line there too where you can see where the mold is supposed to stop. And so I just need to just very carefully, there we go. A little bit more. This is where you wish you were ambidextrous, you know, it's like, I wish I could just flip this over, put it in my left hand and just do it. But I'm not. So I have to do the best I can. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now, for the fun part, and this is where I was talking about, I need to trim off a little bit of this extra material off the back so this fits into the leg nice and neat. So I'm just basically running the tip of the blade in and then pushing down and letting it just do the work. Nice. Do the same back here. Oh man, that was almost perfect. See, and this is why it is shaved off. It's this little tiny like horseshoe shaped piece. It's just a little bit of that extra material. So let's see how it fits. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Take a tiny bit off the tip of this here. I've got to just take a little bit off of this tip right here. But then that's going to fit right down on top perfectly. I mean, I have to say, as old as this kit is, it really does still fit together quite nicely, considering that, I don't know how vinyl does it over time in a box, but this stuff has really endured. I mean, this was 1990, I think I said. Yeah, Big West 1990. I think I need to do just a little bit more right like that. Oh, yes. Exactly what I wanted. Okay, this is going to fit perfect. Look at that. Bam. Wow, that came out great. Better than the first one I did. The first leg. That's one of the things you'll know is that as you get more practice with this stuff, you start to get more efficient as far as the trimming and stuff and how to cut things. So now we're almost done with the right leg. All I got left is the foot. And this is pretty straightforward. A lot of straight edges, no complex curves or anything. So what do we got? ESPN throwing me a notification. Thought maybe I had a game starting or something, but it doesn't look like it. So, you still weathering your tank, George? Is that what you're doing tonight? Or are you just snapping something else together? Any of you guys don't know George, old school or Forrest, go check him out. You guys are awesome. Great builders, great people. I mean, I'm kind of blessed that I have this little group of guys, and that it's kind of our own little message group through Instagram, and talk to each other, share our experiences in life and whatever. It's really nice to be able to have a support system like that, other than regular family, of course, just having people there to talk to. Oh, the oil work continues. Yeah, I appreciate it, George. I really do. You guys have been very supportive. 2023 hasn't started out the best for me, especially with all the family stuff, but I am looking into, there's a Washington State program for paid medical leave to attend to a family member. So I'm looking into that to see if I can do that and what I will be getting paid. I can use that for up to 12 weeks. So I'm going to check it out and see if that's something I can do. Yeah, you're right. Oh, good. I'm glad you guys are having a good time, because I really enjoy it too. And I hope Wednesdays is working out for everybody. I was doing these on Sundays, but like I said, we're trying to get a nice balance, a nice life balance mix, and trying to make time to do this that works for everybody. And sometimes, you got to change it up a little bit. So I decided to try out Wednesdays just to see how that would do. And so far, it seems like it's working out pretty good. Oh, middle of the week. What Manny said. What did Manny say? Oh, yes, you are correct. Ron's talking about FMLA, but that is Family Medical Leave Act, which I do not qualify for at the moment, only because I haven't been at my current employer for a year yet. However, that being said, I can still use Washington State Family Medical Leave, or paid medical leave. So here's how this can work. If it works out the way I like it to, I can use that for 12 weeks. That should bring me up to pretty close to my anniversary date, which then I will be eligible for FMLA, which I can use for another 12 weeks. So You love Wednesdays, just hate final trimming? Yeah. So I might be able to kind of swing it. The way HR told me today is I'm kind of in the sweet spot there of being able to use one and not the other now, and then when that one runs out, I can use the other. The only difference is the first one is paid. FMLA is not paid. I'd have to use my PTO. However, at that point, I should have plenty of hours available. So we're just taking things a little, one day at a time here, because I still got to deal with, what's currently going on with my mother and whether or not my assistance is absolutely needed right now. My brother is going out this Saturday for a week to work remotely and do what he can there. What was this? It's like watching live bomb disposal. My jaw. You're just talking about me trimming this stuff. Well, I haven't started bleeding tonight, although you might be able to see. Yeah, there's one right there, that little dot, and that little dot. Yeah, those are 2 points from this that I did the other day when I was doing this off camera. So yeah, I haven't done any serious damage yet, but knock on wood. Please don't. I don't want to hurt myself. Okay, let's see if this foot fits. Almost perfect. It's got a little bit more trimming, but I'm getting there. Yes, Wednesdays is perfect since I'm at work. I'll be able to catch the stream. Oh, nice. So you're watching this at work, Manny? I know you did that with Mechanism too, didn't you? Sometimes you'd check in with us and we were actually at work, which was kind of fun. Kind of cool and fun to see you working there. I think you're in New York, right? If I'm not mistaken. Or have I got the wrong Manny? I thought you were at work. Or New York, I mean. Yes, sir. Yeah, okay, I'm right. Yeah, it was fun watching you. I know, maybe not so much for you because you're working, but it was kind of cool to see that. I remember when I went to, I did that, went to Mexico 2 years ago for the rally race, and I actually, because everybody else was asleep, and I was bored, so I said, I'm going to see how good the internet is here. I was paying for internet at a hotel there. And so I decided to check into the Mechanism group from Mexico, just plowed on tequila and everything else. Just I made a fool of myself, but it was fun. It was hilarious. It was so funny to watch Tim's reaction when he was sitting there monitoring. He's running the show, and he's like, "Oh my God, coming to us from Mexico," and they check in, and I'm just. Woo-hoo! Yeah, it was bad. I'm sure there's still some photographs of that floating around somewhere. Okay, well, the foot fits in there. Super cool. Maybe just a slight trim right here. But other than that, this one is good to go. And I like the way this leg turned out. I think it turned out better than the first, except for that knee portion. That's what kicked my ass. But, yeah. That fits in there nice. So that's going to stand up kind of like that, which is, if you look at the original, pretty good, pretty close. So I think we can call this one done. So we got this leg. This is all right leg, left leg. I still got some torso work to do. Yeah, and not really. I got the shoulders and the arms and the gun pod. This is kind of an interesting way, the way this goes together. The back of the gun pod has a little nipple sticking out of it, little dot sticking out of it here, and that's supposed to line up with the right arm, because that actually gives you something to glue this into and kind of hold it to the right arm. And I don't even remember that, but I see there's actually, I can see it on the original kit when I put it together. Yeah. Yeah, one of the nice things about this is because back when I painted this, I was using probably Tamiya acrylics and doing it all. Yeah, Late Night Stream was a lot of fun. It sure was. When I was doing this, I used hand-painted Tamiya acrylics, I think, and I didn't have any of the right colors. Maybe this is a dark German gray here, but most of it was just done black and white and yellow. The nice part about this is I'm going to use, oh, my thumb has been bugging me. I'm going to use the same color chart that Hasegawa uses, so I'll be using all the correct Valkyrie colors. Everything should look 100% better, I hope. We shall see. So, like, registry point? What are we talking about? Registry. What do you mean, Manny? I'm not sure what you mean. Maybe I'm just missing it. Hasegawa kits use Mr. Color for their color charts, so that's what makes it nice. You can select all the same colors. Oh wow, I gotta cut that out. Yeah, there's a big chunk in there. I can see this. There's a piece in this mold that looks like it got stuck in the mold. It's almost like a casting slag or something. It's just kind of shouldn't be there. Let's see if I can get that out. May need a chisel for this. Let's try 1.7. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm trying to get in there and peel this out. It's part of the mold now, but it shouldn't be in there. It's until it's like a foreign something got in there and kind of jacked with the mold, created an anomaly. But the chisel seemed to work just fine. Kind of digging it out. Yeah, all right. Okay, let's put this back. I don't know if I want to do that next or try to do the gun pod. When you're talking about little nipple on the right arm. Oh, yeah. It's like that way you get the right angle, because the right arm kind of holds the gun kind of at a funky angle. So say about here on the forearm, there's a little dot that that the back of it, where is it? The back of the gun pod here. You can see it right there, just sticking up, that little dot, and that fits into that spot and helps secure it. It gives you a glue point too, I assume, by putting it together. I suppose I could cut these off. These are the leg fins, these guys here, and they're a separate piece, so there's just two of them. It's kind of hanging out. And there's a faint line where they should be cut, so hopefully that is the correct line. Yeah, so I'm going to slowly, it doesn't have a left or right though. See, all the leg parts and the arms and stuff are all labeled left and right, but these two are not. So they must be just identical. Yeah. All right, well, I think I'm going to get the heavy magnifiers out for this one, though. Get my big 5x magnifiers. Okay, now I can see what I'm doing. Sort of. And so I don't know if cutting these by hand or trying to just trim them off might be easier just to do it this way. Maybe. Yeah, I think I can. I'm going to cut these off the mold and then I'll trim them down. That'll be easier than trying to trim them off of this. Gosh, I got to be careful. Don't want to go too deep. Actually, I think I'm going to have to cut them off by hand. It's like a solid piece. It's thick, thicker compared to the other stuff. All right, now I should be able to get to this one. Maybe. Yeah, okay. That worked. All right, look at this big chunk. Get out of here. Trash. Yeah, this is just solid chunk of vinyl. Not nearly as flexible as the other stuff I've been dealing with. So I guess what I'm just going to do is follow this line. Damn. I can't see. It's so faint. You can kind of see it. So I'm just going to do a light pass. Just kind of running over it. Almost like the way you would cut styrene. Just going slow and slowly cutting deep. Slowly cutting deeper and until it comes. Now it's wanting to move on me. That's the hard part. It's wanting to flip and move. Where are we at? 722. All right, we'll go to 730. And we'll call it. See if I can get this piece to fully cooperate. I'm really pressing down hard to keep that from moving. It's almost all the way through. It's just the middle. Okay, there. All right, that's what I had to cut off, and it's that full thickness of that shit. So, let's see how this works. A little bit of unevenness, but pretty good. All right, let's see how this looks. I don't know if it goes on this leg. Yeah, I guess the outside would be. There's supposed to be like a dividing line. You can kind of see the two colors on the fin here. So there is a dividing line on there, but it's very faint. And I'm not sure. It's only really on one side, so I'm not sure if that should be on the outside. I think it would be facing forward, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe this leg. If this is the outside, that might make the difference between left and right. Yeah, that doesn't look. I think I had the right one the first time. So this is going to go here. Yeah. Kind of sits there by itself almost. Yeah. Needs a little bit of trim. It's flat, even though the cut seemed almost curved slightly, but the leg where it attaches is pretty flat. So if I can just, there we go, just take off a tiny bit here. I was trying to just flatten out that mating surface. And then this will sit. Yeah. Kind of fits right in there. just like that. That looks pretty good. So I think what I'm going to do now, since I have this off, that is the right leg, correct? Yes. I'm going to mark this on the bottom. Just so I can tell that it's the right one. Let's see if I can cut this one off. Oh boy. Man, it's not the best the best line in the world to see. But I can tell it goes here to here because there's those, obviously the fin comes down and makes the point. So if I can get a decently straight cut here. There we go. Almost. There. Okay. Trash. Now let's take a look at that. Yeah, that's pretty good. That one came out really straight. And they are about the same size. Yeah. Slippery. Yep, that's perfect. Okay. So let's see how this one fits on the left leg then. It's here. Oh boy, I gotta trim some on this for sure. I've got like a high spot in the middle. I can see it. So, because this kind of has to be flat, there's like a high spot right in the center of this. So I'm just going to have to very carefully, just ever so slightly, okay, and just taking off, just shaving off ever so slightly. All right. That's better. It's not perfect, but it's better. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. I think I'm going to use my other marker, though. I have another. Where is it? Oh, I know where it is. It's right here. I'm going to mark this with the L. Will not be seen, of course, but at least that way I know which one is left and right. Okay. Well, boys and girls, we are going to call it a night with this. It's about 10:30 Eastern Time, 7:30 here on the Pacific Coast. Appreciate everybody who came out tonight and sat here with me, talked. We had a great time. Thank you so much. Tell your friends. Let them know about, tell them about the YouTube channel. Support the channel. Support the stream. I try to do this on 3 separate streaming locations, so that way everybody has a chance and opportunity to see what's going on and enjoy and participate. So anyway, we will talk to you soon. We'll see you next Wednesday, barring any unforeseen circumstances, of course, but that's the plan. We're going to do this every Wednesday at 7 or 6 p.m. Pacific here on the West Coast. And thanks again. Perfect timing. You're welcome. You're welcome, Manny. You're welcome, George. Oh, you bet. John, thanks for coming out. Thanks for hanging with me. I had a great time. We'll see you next Wednesday, like I said, and be good humans. Hug your relatives, hug your family members. Let them know you love them, and we will talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.